Hi guys. Today's book talk is going to be about the sci-fi genre. And so the three titles that we're going to talk about are Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, Armada by Ernest Cline, Warcraft by Marie Lu. And so these books do have a couple things in common. They do all kind of have a video game element to them. They're very technology related and they take place a little bit in the future, but not so far into the future that it's completely like unrealistic or relatable. For these two, the main protagonists are boys, and they are both battling an alien race that is trying to invade Earth. And then in the last one, the main protagonist is a girl, and she's not battling any aliens. She's battling a hacker that has worked its way into an online video game tournament that she's in. For the first one, Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Orson Scott Card has a lot of books that he has written, and he has won the Margaret Edwards Award for Lifetime Achievement in YA fiction. This book also won the Nebula and the Hugo Award, which are two of the highest science fiction writing honors. This is a little bit older, but it's still incredibly good and really relevant. The main protagonist is a boy named Ender Wiggin, and he is only 6 years old. And you kind of forget about that while you're reading it because he seems so much more mature in the situations that they're put into, because it's a life or death situation in battle school, make it seem like he's older than what he is in the book. Ender's Game is really cool because it is about Ender, and he is special right from the beginning. So at this point in time, people are only allowed to have 2 children. And the first 2 children showed a lot of promise, except as they got older, his brother turned out to start to show a lot of cruelty. And then his sister was too nice. And so then the government allowed them to have one more child, kind of a Goldilocks situation, hoping that the third one would be just right. And it turns out that Ender is. And so unbeknownst to him, he's been raised up from the start to be this military general savior that's going to be able to defeat the buggers, the alien race that is attacking Earth. And so they are intentionally training him to fulfill that role. And so he goes to battle school. And battle school is up in outer space, and it's where they work in teams to simulate combat and do a lot of mind strategy games that are computer related and like simulator flight school type stuff to practice getting ready for the war. The second book is Armada by Ernest Cline, and it is also very video game related. So the main protagonist is a high schooler named Zach Whiteman, and Zach is trying to make it through his senior year without getting into any more trouble. He also works at a video game store, and he has been raised by his mom because his dad died in a tragic accident whenever he was young. But there's a lot of references to his dad in the book and kind of some 80s throwback as far as like music and old school video games. But the most popular video game that Zach plays is Armada. And Armada, again, is about defeating alien races that are trying to invade Earth. And so Zach is really good at this video game. And then he starts to kind of question some of the things that are happening and that he's been seeing, and whether or not the video game, how much of it's based on reality and how much of it is made up. Warcraft by Marie Lu is about a girl named Amika Chen, and she's from New Beijing, and she is a bounty hunter, and she is on her own. And so she's trying to be able to make it and survive on the streets by herself. She is going to try to hack into a famous video game called Warcraft during an online tournament to try to steal an artifact. And whenever she does, she gets recognized by the video game designer, and he invites her to join the tournament based on her skills, because he can tell that obviously if she can hack his game, then she must be pretty awesome. And so she'll get the opportunity to actually join the tournament. But then she discovers that there's also a criminal who has a really deadly, sinister plan that kind of coincides with the tournament. And so she has to make it out of both the game and real life alive. All three books have really fast, quick plots, so they're not boring. They continually move along. All of them have really great, interesting characters that you really kind of learn to grow to love at the end. And even though they're faced with some really tough choices, they do try to kind of do what's right in a given situation. But they're all three brilliant.